love adversity, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Chad Prather Show. This is me trying to cope with not losing my mind, because there's a reason why we're 5 minutes late today, and it's Satan trying to spiritually attack us. My camera's all wonky. Things are going on here. There's a spiritual battle. I come against it in the name of Jesus. I am David Medina. Chad Prather's out today. Again, he's out fishing, catching elk, catching geese, fishing for sharks. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something, right? He's on a private jet somewhere with JD Vance. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what studio he's at. He's got 8 studios, right? But I'm David Medina. I'm his producer, and I'm filling in for him today. And I'm glad you're here, because I think not just you're going to need this, but I need you, right? We're going to figure this out together. You are seeing me overcome adversity and anger in real time, folks. This is as real as it gets, man. When you guys have expected realness from the Chad Prather Show, and I'm gonna just keep that theme going, right? And this ain't no act. Like, we literally had technical difficulties. Let me just break it down for you real quick. Welcome, by the way, and happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are having a great week. It is a great week. Anytime you can make wake up in America, and if you're outside of America, just figure it out. Either save your country or come to America. But anyways, any day you can wake up and be an American and still be part of this great country, it's always a great day. There's always good things going on, right? Who are the good people in your life? I got a ton of good people in my life. I got Chad Prather in my life. I got Party Foul Steve. I got people, friends, close friends, family, people who are always praying for me that I don't even know. Some I do. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you can look to. What's going on in your life that's going good, right? I know there's a lot of hurt. People are dealing with hurt. You're dealing with fear, worry, anxiety. Maybe your kid is being a knucklehead. They decided to make a life decision that you don't agree with. Maybe your grandkids made a life decision. I don't know what you're going through today. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you lost a spouse. Maybe you lost a family member. Maybe someone passed away that is close to you. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to figure it out. I don't even know if we're live on YouTube, because YouTube was having errors before we did this thing. But anyways, I am producer David Medina, guys. Welcome to the show. We're going to bring in Party Foul Steve, and I believe I heard Chad Prather was going to make an appearance today. Whenever you feel like coming back to your show, Chad, come on back. Grace us with your presence. I'm having a good time hosting it, though. I love you guys. I love this community. I love the Chad Prather, the Prather Brigade, I think they're calling them. I love you guys, man. You guys are awesome. Linda Adams, I mean, and all the loyal people that have been here for Chad for all these years. You guys are awesome. Make sure that we're blowing up the chat. First of all, I want you to do a couple things. If you haven't liked or subscribed to Chad Prather's channel, please like and subscribe. That way, when new lives and new videos come up, you get notified and your phone tells you, right? And then leave a comment. Let me just do it because I'm producing the show at the same time as talking to you. Yes, I can multitask, Mom. I know my mom is looking at me down from heaven and being like, wow, he actually knows how to multitask, because every time I talk to him, he never listened to me. Blow up the chat with those dancing bananas. Let's get people in here, man. This is an important message for people to hear today, because, there's so much to talk about in the news, actually. There's so much going on in the news, so much going on with the government shutdown, just like the clueless Democrats just constantly spewing their lies and rhetoric, and some Republicans even too. And we're grateful for President Trump. We're grateful for his leadership, his administration. We're grateful for just the amazing patriots fighting for this country. There's just a lot to be grateful for. And I know that, like I said, people are hurting. And I'm gonna give you some keys to overcome that stuff. I've overcome the most crazy adversity that a human being could face. And I know a lot of people have been, and I don't compare it to people that have been through cancer. That's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother ballgame. I don't even know how, like, those are true heroes, man. People that are battling cancer and that have overcome cancer, or have overcome like some super crazy things. I've been through some things. I've been arrested by the FBI over J6 for walking in the Capitol, right? For just, walking in, just like an ogre, just walking in. Oh, wow, look at the Capitol. And all of a sudden, like, I'm getting raided by the FBI. Like I'm some terrorist. Like I went in there to go, like I was like hanging, Congress people, right? Along with other peaceful people that were there that day. That was just crazy. So I've been arrested. I've been divorced. I lost a girl that I loved because I was a knucklehead. I've lost a lot of things. I've been through job after job after job. I literally couldn't keep a job. I always got fired from jobs because I'm built a little differently, I guess. I don't know. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to work for myself and have clients and I'll pick clients that I actually like working with. And the Lord, it took a lot to get here, but the Lord is blessing me. He's smoothing out the edges, And what are the edges with you? Like, are there edges that need to be smoothed out? And if you're like, no, I don't think so. that's an edge right there, right? Like everybody can get better. Everybody can work on things. Okay. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 70. I don't care if you're 80. I don't care if you're 100. I don't care if you're 18, definitely an 18-year-old. Everybody can improve on something, and you can, growth mindset, right? And so, anyways, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna bring in Party Foul Steve in here again. Glad you're in here. Blow up the chat. Chad Prather will be joining us if he can get off his or if he can get through on his Walmart connection. I don't know what connection he has over there. You guys saw before the noise this morning. Again, like yesterday, folks, so many technical difficulties, like more than ever. And the Lord is still blessing. What I'm seeing him do with Chad is so crazy, because Chad is like the most resilient dude I know. Like, that dude can have 80 things thrown at him at once, and he'll just stand there and go, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. And he'll just keep pushing through. I mean, the Chad is it's inspiring. And, ever since this whole Before the Noise, he started this Before the Noise a couple months ago. He goes, I just really feel a pull to, share God's word in some way. And so he thought of Before the Noise. We got together. We helped, he kind of started off with the branding, and then I kind of came in and smoothed out those edges. And it's turned into what it is today. It's been very successful. Rumble, he locked in a Rumble deal. So there's 30,000 plus people hearing the word of God every single day, Monday through Friday. If you're not catching up on Before the Noise, you guys, I'm telling you, it is such a good start to your day. Every day, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, 5 a.m. Pacific. It's such a blessing. It's been a blessing to me. I turn these on. You can go to beforethenoise.com. And I've turned these on in the car when I'm driving. Yesterday, we drove an hour and a half to go help some kids in Lebanon, Oregon. They're in this contest trying to win a stadium. And road trips like that, I like to put on stuff like Chad and Before the Noise. And he's got a really calming voice. It's kind of crazy. I wish he'd be calm with me when we're dealing with each other off camera. I'm just kidding. He is. He's such a great friend. Let's see. So we have to talk about our sponsors. So our sponsor today is Birch Gold. And I actually, I know Chad does these ad reads every day, and, it's part of the show, but I have seen behind the scenes how these sponsors support people like Chad and the Chad Prather Show. These guys are so important. The least we can do for them is texting Chad to 989898 and checking out gold. If you weren't considering gold, or you don't think you have that extra money, or you don't think, just check it out. It's no obligation. If you text Chad to 989898, that at least supports the sponsor, who supports this show and supports everything we do. I wouldn't be here. Chad wouldn't be here as much, at least, if it weren't for our partners like Birch Gold. So let me read this to you real quick from Birch. They want you to know this. You can buy gold and get free silver. That's right. Every $5,000 purchased from the Birch Gold Group this month, in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Let's bring that Gadsden flag back, by the way. You see that Gadsden flag, how they try to say it's a white supremacist symbol. No, it's not, dude. Go look at the history of the Gadsden flag and stop bumping your gums. Okay. Birch Gold, if you're watching, they're like, just read the damn ad. Okay. Look, gold is up 40% since the beginning of the year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA and 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you're current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for our first year on investments of any amount. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, many of which are Chad's listeners. I encourage you to diversify your savings into gold. Text my name, Chad, to the number 989898 for a free info kit. My name. Text Chad's name, okay? And claim your free eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text Chad to 989898. Go support the sponsor of this show and our amazing partners, our amazing friends over at the Birch Gold Group. And yeah, man, just go text it, man. I'll text it. I'm going to text it right after the show. And just to support them. So, all right, if he's ready and unmuted, let's bring in Party Foul Steve, the other half of Chad Prather. How you doing, Party Foul?
I'm doing great, and thank you for reminding me to unmute that, because the worst thing is to come on here talking and it be muted and no one hears my, all my intelligent stuff I have to say. Man, it's kind of hard. You're getting so much better at your ad reads, your intro and stuff like that. I think you should have your own show, the David Medina Show, with a co-host, Party Foul. I can co-host 2 shows.
Amen.
I can literally throw in my garbage nonsense every now and then and do just fine.
Brother,
But dude,
you do a great job.
you jumped right into overcoming adversity, stuff like that. And I feel like my entire life I've always been overcoming something I mean, that's how I know I'm living if I'm having to go through something.
Yeah.
And I know there's people out there that are hurting every single day. I mean, from everything to loved ones lost to jobs lost to you name it across the board. You're not alone. We're all in it. We're all fighting. It's when you don't want to stop fighting. Yeah, show
Yeah.
that tenacity. Get up and every day and just keep on going. That's what we got to do.
I love it. I love it. Chad has joined, is in the studio. You guys, we'll bring him on in just a second. Chad, I'm hosting the show right now, so I'll decide when to bring you on. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I need a button that I can click, like kick him out.
I'm going to actually bring him on just to boot him, just so he has to join again. But no, Chad is in the studio. He's getting prepped and getting his thing ready. And we're gonna bring him in here because if there's anybody to talk about overcoming adversity, it's this dude. I mean, I even just in the 9 months of working with him, I have seen this guy overcome some of the craziest things from everything. I'm not going to go into detail, but just from professional, like career, relationships. I've seen Chad go through it all, man. And the way he goes through it is so inspiring. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, I was going to say, Chad. He's building out a new studio in the cabin in the hills. I'll put it that way. We, undisclosed location. I like it because wherever he goes, he can pop up a studio. It's like, hey, I've got one here. I've got one there. I've got one at home. I've got, on the road, he can pop it up. It's not a green screen either. He builds these things out to his places he likes to go and hide.
He needs to come build mine out because I've had the same backdrop for like 5 years. And I just, Chad is his new studio. I saw it this morning on Before the Noise. It's actually pretty nice, man. I love it. It looks we're moving up in the world, man. He got that Rumble deal and he's like, I'm going to go buy a couple more cabins and a couple more studios to add to my collection of studios. I've never seen someone have so many studios besides Joe Biden when he was in the fake Oval Office and in whatever fake set he had. But we'll bring him on in a little bit. And I want to just kind of go over a little some tops. Actually, should we bring him on now? Oh, he just disconnected.
Oh, he disconnected. He's like, I'm not waiting around anymore. I saw him drop out of there.
Wait, okay, hold on. Maybe I need to read my messages because I got my phone on Do Not Disturb. Let me ask him. Yeah. Do you want to? Because I saw him preparing stuff, so I didn't know if he was ready now or later. So let me see. Come on now. Boom. Yeah, Steve, like you said, it's almost like God. What the devil intended, because I almost canceled this whole thing this morning, and I was like, you know what? That's exactly what the enemy wants.
Yeah,
it's almost like the evil that the devil intended. It's almost like the Bible's true, right?
Almost like right. As soon as you give up, he's won. That's why that's part of the whole thing. Is just you got to keep power through. You got to keep powering through. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Let's hope it's not a train.
Yeah, dude.
You keep on going.
And the thing is, Steve, is you made a great point there. Never give up. And that is the key. And I know it's cliche. I know you hear it and it's easier said than done, but it is the key to overcoming adversity. It's simple. You just keep pushing. You never give up.
Do you know who you hear, who you do not hear never give up from? People that gave up.
Yeah.
You'll never hear them say never give up. So.
Never. I used to hear it all the time. I mean, I've followed some of the biggest influencers who they always say that, never give up, never give up. It really sunk in when I heard a really Gen Z kind of famous, a lot of the kids would know who he is. He was talking about streaming and he was like, I used to stream to just 4 or 5 people and like 2 of those were my parents. And now he's got millions of people watching him, hundreds of thousands of people watching him. And, one of the things he was asked on one of his streams, and I don't know which one it was. It was either Sketch, the streamer Sketch, or it was the other guy, his friend. I don't know his friend, but anyways, it was one of them.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. What's up, brother? The guy that's like, what's up, brother? They basically just said, look, I've been streaming my whole life, or I've been streaming for the last 10 years. And, the only difference between me and my friends who did this was I didn't give up. They all gave up when it got tough, when there was nothing. He said I streamed to 5 people for like 3 years and I just never gave up. And then all of a sudden it got my break. And that's the thing. No matter what you're going through, whether it's professionally, with family, you're going to get a break, right? There's going to be a break that comes. And you can't get to that break if you give up just because it's hard. And we can apply that to marriage, Steve. I mean, you've been married a long time. Talk about marriage a little bit.
Listen,
You
going
know,
on 25 years, and let me tell you, it's
yeah.
been easy. No, I'm not, I'm lying.
Wow.
Anybody be saying lying if I said it was easy, but it's one of those things. We got married to stay married, and
Yeah.
that was uh that was always, that was there. Divorce was never even an option. It's I was married before. It lasted a very short time, and thank God. I mean, thank God it was only a short time. But
Yeah.
I have three wonderful children from it, and don't regret them whatsoever. But I've been married for almost 25 years, and
Yeah.
man, it's amazing to have a partner to walk through life with.
Yeah, man. And I think one of the things that you hit on there with marriage is I hear so many married couples who have been divorced. And it's always like, because this world, Steve, I mean, you were married in a time, what did you get married like in what, the 80s, 90s?
I'm not that old. That was 90s, early
I said
90s.
90s, Steve.
Early
um,
90s. In
the
the 80
90s.
back in the 80s.
Well, I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, bro. No, but isn't it kind of crazy? I was born in the 80s. But anyways, I hear people say all the time, they'll say, well, he just wasn't the right one for me. And I was like, well, why did you get married? I think back then, even in the 90s, it's the culture, the society, and their view towards marriage and their influence on the individual is so much different than today. Today, they make it easy to be married. I mean, you see influencers, you see how many TikToks have you seen where it's like, well, if your husband isn't like, then leave him, go find someone better. You don't have to stay in a marriage where your husband don't care. I mean, there's just so much like anti-marriage, anti-biblical covenant like propaganda that consistently comes through to married couples. That's why when I talked to one of my friends who's getting married, I said, dude, stay off social media. If you start seeing videos that are going against your marriage or making you view your wife any differently other than as a jewel, unfollow that person, get off. Right. And so I was actually just talking about this with the girl that I've been dating last night. And we were just like, marriage is a give and take. It is a give and take. It has to be a two-way street. It has to be a partnership. There's going to be times where you have to sacrifice for the other person, even when you don't want to. But if you do that, it builds that habit. It's like a muscle. It builds that habit, and then that's how marriage can become beautiful. But I think back then it was more of a dishonor, Steve, to get divorced, right? If you got divorced, you
Oh
didn't.
yeah, it was.
Now it's like a fad.
I remember going
It's trendy.
first, and it was a horrible, demeaning experience. You felt you're talking about feeling like a failure, even if it was a bad marriage, even if everything about it was horrible, you still feel like a failure
Yeah,
at
yeah.
some. And but man, I moved on from that, and God put me in the right place at the right time with the right woman.
I love that, man. I love that. And it gives us all hope because we are being fed such garbage from the internet and from these secular corners of our society that say, hey, if you're not in love with your spouse anymore, go find a new one. That's why you're seeing all these older people getting divorced, and they're going to find, a 20-year-old. Like you're seeing like a 60-year-old celebrity like Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's getting with a 20-year-old. These people have no idea what love is. They are still operating within their flesh and what feels good. And it's like, well, my wife has aged. I'm not attracted to her anymore. Bro, that's not love, man. That's not love. That's fleshly, carnal desire. That's fleshly, sinful attraction. Because if you're married to someone, you should be attracted to them spiritually, or not just physically. That should actually be the last part. Yes, you need to be. I'm all for being physically attracted to somebody, but I argue, Steve, and tell me if I'm wrong. You should be attracted to someone physically, emotionally, in every single aspect before you marry somebody. You should not marry someone just because they're hot and because you guys kind of get along. I mean,
Yeah,
am I right?
I can definitely say speak to that. Although I know my wife married me for my looks and my charm, but I'll take it. She stuck with me. She
Yeah, but
stuck with
you
me
just
every single day, and I'm not an easy person to put up with.
all right,
Promise.
ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. I want to get Chad's thoughts on what we've been talking about here. Let's bring him on. The host of the Chad Prather Show. He found a little bit of sliver of internet, and we're going to bring him on before he loses that connection. Chad Prather, everybody. Let's go, baby.
There he is.
There he is.
Let's go. How you doing, Chad?
Dude, you know what? It's just frustrating. It's a blessing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm building this little cabin in the woods here, and so the construction is going on in the hammer and the banging. I think I'm going to get my internet installed. I think they're going to finally run a wire out here on Friday. What's today? Wednesday. So
It is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
yeah. So I've got a Starlink. I've got a Starlink Mini which is outside, down the hill, pointing north. Thank you, Elon Musk. And I'm just, in the room building this thing out. It's going to be a really nice studio, by the way. Whenever
Looks good, dude.
when I get this deal set up, it's going to be nice. It's going to be good. So I've been, putting holes in the wall, trying to put it together. But I was in Wisconsin for the last 2 days, literally out in the middle of nowhere, and got home about midnight last night. So I got up at 4:30 this morning trying to put everything together to try to see if I could get the internet working with that Starlink. So, I mean, just committed to trying to get do the process here.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but I don't even have the lights or anything. And by the way, your studio looks good, David. I like the way your studio looks. Steve's got the lighting going on. I like it. I was like admiring. I was watching some of your stuff last night on the plane, and I like it. It's kind of like you're in the bat cave there, dude. So I like that.
His camera angles kind of makes him look like he's up on a pedestal or something. Like
it's like he's in the mothership, like he's flying the Enterprise, or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I wish I could give you guys some words of wisdom about like how to stay married. I have the ability to run people off. I know that. But I will tell you this, the thing about, I was listening to what you guys were saying because I had to log on and off here a couple of times. When you talk about perseverance, I think the key to perseverance in everything in life is purpose. Like this morning, I could have just quit and said, we're not going to do Before the Noise.
Yep.
But there was a purpose in it. And even when it froze up and quit and I had to come back on, we had more people show up. We had like 12,000 people show up after the glitch. So I'm sitting there thinking, if you know why you're doing something, then you can endure almost anything that comes along. So it turns the obstacles kind of into the training grounds and the delays into the preparation, right? You end up doing it better, or at least with more maturity than you would have done the first time. And we learn from all of that because it ultimately, I think when you do something with purpose, then I'll put it this way, if you don't have purpose, then perseverance feels like, okay? Like that's why people get into something, whether it's a relationship or a marriage or something like that, and they've lost their purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why their perseverance just feels like they're on a train, they're kind of on a treadmill getting nowhere.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that the hard way.
That's so good.
I've had to learn that the hard way in life. I've left Hurricane Chad leaves quite a wake. Trust me on that. So, and Party Foul Steve, he's been there to see a lot of it. And this has been a really hard year for me. Like I was literally like a couple of months ago, I was going through some like legitimate panic attacks. Like I'd never had that before.
Yeah.
And I had to get up in the middle of the night and walk around because I was like, I'm like dying here. Like I was claustrophobic and couldn't breathe. The dog was walking around with me, just trying to make sure I was going to survive it. And so,
I've had to get up in the middle of the night to go check on you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of, we're going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of it, is self-inflicted when you do stuff like that. But here's what I taught myself. David, you've been a constant encouragement to me, whether you know it or not. Steve knows he has. And, there's just those staples in your life. And there's a number of people who are here in the chat that are constant encouragement to me. K-Dub, Kevin Wade, he's in there. Several other guys are in there. I got some great text messages this morning from some people just out of the blue. And what I've learned is, because I'm a pretty intense dude, I can be. But what I've learned is that you got to have consistency over intensity. Because anybody can get fired up.
Yeah. And hold on.
And frozen.
Right on that. They're all great. Look at that gritty look on his face. Chad froze up, guys. We he was just getting I'm telling you. Hey, real quick, Chad, you froze up a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I may be back. I don't know. We just keep on this. I'm telling
you're good
you,
now.
It's gonna,
you're good now.
This is all going to be good when the internet comes in. I promise you.
Yeah.
But I think that consistency over intensity. It's easy to get fired up for a week. It's easy to sprint when everybody's cheering for you. It's hard to run that cross country when you're in the backwoods and nobody. But when you get in that point where you know that you're building something in the silence of life, that's the thing that really matters, because character is forged when nobody's looking. character is forged and maturity is forged when nobody. You know how I went to the barber a little while ago. I had to go get a haircut. I do have a little bit of hair up there, my little wispies, but they were kind of growing. My hair had gotten where it was growing like up the back of my head, like I had a reverse mullet going up there. And so, because I got an inverted hairline, and so it just grows up my head. I'll put this back on. There's a reason why I keep a hat on. But I was looking in the mirror at the barber shop, and I was like, man, I'm starting to get the old man ears, how your ears just get like Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
Oh, let's hope not.
These things are huge, man.
And those ears just grow because they say, like, especially with men, your ears and your nose never stop growing.
I'm in trouble.
I know. And so I was looking at it, and I was like, you don't look in the mirror and.
Yeah. There you go.
Frozen again.
It's a funny, weird way of saying that you gotta realize it in the silence, in the times when there's just it's perseverance, and perseverance sucks. Patience sucks sometimes. And that's when the most stuff's getting built. But I will say this: if people want to persevere, you, as I said, choose the consistency over the intensity. You got to trust the process. You got to stay grateful. That's one thing you do very well, David, and I appreciate that about you. And back to the point, you got to find people, because if you're doing it alone, it sucks. Perseverance is actually contagious. There's been times, David, in recent months where I've been like, screw it. Let's don't even do it. And you're like, no, Chad, we're building something and we need to hang in there and do it. And so this is a weird season, man. It has been for a lot of people. I just found out that my someone very, very close to me again has passed away today in my immediate family.
Jeez.
And so literally just got that text message 15 minutes ago. And so this has been a weird 2 months, bro.
Wow.
It's just a lot of stuff's going on. And I know that when you have the right people around you, like I have with you guys and some, is that whenever your stuff's running low, that you find strength and some faith in other people's strength. So I
love that,
appreciate
man.
That's a fact right there. Yeah. Because it meant to, sometimes we got to go out there and pretend everything's okay in front of the real world. And, but it's our people. We don't have to pretend, with our people, with our, our tight knit group. And, I feel like a lot of these people in the chat here in Rumble have been with us forever. Been with us on our journey, Chad, for the last 10 years.
It looks like it every time I read the chat. I can always tell they always leave comments that they're just like, people that have just been so loyal to you guys. But I want to ask you, Chad, real quick. When you're on that point, I think it's you hit it on the head. As someone that has been through a lot, everything you just said just sunk in with me even more. The whole perseverance. If you're trying, there was a time where if you're working hard to just like stay motivated, that's not going to get you, because you're going to have those downs. And I think that one of the things that stuck out to me in what you said, Chad, is, I don't get too highs on the highs. I don't get too lows on the lows. I used to get really high on the highs. This is why I don't look at comments too much. I don't look at likes on social media, because you're going to have a social media post that has 1 million likes and one that's going to have 200. And it's like, I've learned to kind of adopt that approach that you just said, which is consistency. I am consistent, level-headed. I think that's where God wants us to be, is consistent. That saying, don't believe your press clippings, good or bad. Just stay consistent. And the more I learn to do that, the more I'm at peace. A few of my videos just blew up. And I had my social media manager that was like, dude, did you see the videos? You see how many videos? I go, dude, that's great. I'm good. We don't need to go into it, whatever. Because I got to stay on the even kill. If you get too high on the highs, you're going to crash. So Chad, what are some practical ways? Because it's, we say all these things, but I know there's people out there that are like, okay, now what can I do? What are some practical things that they can do, tangible things in their life to work on that consistency, to stay in that mindset?
Well, I'll tell you this, David, and one of the things is when we created beforethenoise.com, that website, I'm getting more messages that are coming to my inbox now, and it's amazing what people are going through, both good and bad. But people are reaching out, and that's
Did he freeze up again?
Yeah, he froze up. It's okay. He's gonna be back. Hold on, Chad. You're frozen up again. Hold on. Sometimes when I click like an overlay like this, he comes back. Chad Prather has frozen, everybody.
Yeah, I can go off of something what he said.
Abundant life.
Oh, there he goes.
There we go. You just came back. You froze for the last like 20 seconds. Go ahead.
So we were created to live inside to outside, not outside to inside, right? So God created Adam and Eve. They had everything they needed within the garden, within themselves. The resources were all right there. And then sin entered in and they became rebellious. And then it went from outside to inside living. Now they were looking for satisfaction from the outside rather than the abundance from the inside. And so we're all people who have these impulses and these things that motivate us and pressure us from the outside. We got to get away from that. So we're not made to live way up here. We're not supposed to live way down here. You can't maintain that elevation all the time. You can't live in that place of excitement. That's why people get on drugs and they medicate themselves because they're trying to stay up.
Yep.
But you can't stay low either because that'll kill you. And so what you do is, like you said, David, you got to find that even keel. So, the book of Isaiah, the prophet said, that we will mount up with wings like eagles. Those that trust in the Lord will mount up with wings like eagles. They'll run and not grow weary. They'll walk and not faint, right? So there's 3 levels to that. So there is the mountainous, you mount up with wings like eagles. Then there's the momentous, you run and not grow weary. And then there's the monotonous, you walk and not faint. We like to be in the mountainous or at least the momentous. It's the monotonous part where you're putting one step in front of the other, where you got to learn consistency and all that deal. And that's where people don't like.
Froze up again. Well,
and somewhere those outward stimuli, the stuff on the internet, we're the reels, the scrolling, all the crap that's coming is showing us a life that we want to be experiencing, but we're not necessarily experiencing. So we're entertaining ourselves to death.
Yep.
We've been engaged by chaos and outrage to the point where we can't protect our own quiet. That's something this morning on Before the Noise. We're not able to protect our quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point now, like I said, the cabin in the woods. Every place I've ever been, we've always named the Studio 22. We've had, all these different places. And this is the cabin in the woods, man. And so, like, I'm at a point in life at 52 years of age where I'm going to do everything I can to protect my quiet, because that's where I am in life. I've hurt people. I've been hurt. I've been through relationships. I've been through marriages. I do the best that I can. By the way, I'll be in Dallas at the Dallas Comedy Club this weekend, Friday and Saturday night. If you want to come get offended, let's go. But in the middle of all that, I'm still going to protect my quiet. And so I've taken a huge step back from public stuff that I've been doing. I haven't been traveling near as much. And so, you've got to find that place where you're putting one foot in front of the other. It's that monotonous point that you say, man, this is kind of boring, but man, it really does get. I've always said it's the old Stephen Wright joke. Everywhere's walking distance if you have the time. Yeah. And what we got to do is carve out the time for the walking distance, right? Yep. Because we're not always going to mount up. And that's the part that you think, well, I'm not getting anywhere in life. Well, you really are. Yeah. You're just not on the speed train. And that's okay, because maturity is being built in that.
Steve, I want to hear your thoughts on this real quick, but I just want to challenge everybody. Every time Chad freezes up, that is I feel like you guys are being tested out there because you're tempted to click off, and you're tempted because your brain is like stopped. Like everything, we're so wired to, like, with social media today, that if you have pauses in anything, your brain kind of gets disconnected, and then you start thinking of something. I'm challenging you right now. When Chad freezes up, that is literally the enemy, I believe, trying to stop you from what we're trying to say here. Stay with us. Stay engaged in this episode, share it with somebody, blow up the chat, because people need to hear this. We hear all the news every day, good and bad. We hear a lot of bad, a lot of negative coming out, especially in places like where I live in Portland, Oregon. And people need to hear good news, man. People are starving for the truth. These churches are starving for the truth. After the Charlie Kirk assassination, I came out against pastors that didn't say one word about it. And I didn't say it because they didn't get political. I didn't get mad at pastors because they didn't get political. I didn't want to tell pastors what to say, but it was like, that was an example of people starving for truth, and you failed them, and you had an opportunity to capitalize on a lot of non-believers, but you wanted to stay in your comfort zone. But I'm challenging you, if Chad freezes up, stay on here. And another thing, Chad, I want to say to your point, and then maybe Steve, if you have a couple thoughts on what he said, when you were talking about, the consistency and staying consistent, I think that's easier said than done, but it's like, it can be done. And I think a lot of people need to understand that it's not going to be comfortable. A lot of this consistency, it takes that growth. It takes that, that consistency and that willingness to continue to be uncomfortable and be in that uncomfortable zone. And as you can tell, last point, all of us are still going through this stuff. You're never going to hit a life. Cause I always hear those people say, Chad, I just can't wait till my life's peaceful. I'm tired of this. I just want it to be peaceful. Your life ain't never going to be peaceful, man. The only time your life's going to be peaceful is when you die.
Amen.
And so, yeah, I mean, Steve, where's the lie, Steve?
Yeah, there's no lie there, but I'm gonna go back to what something Chad was saying, talking about the messages and stuff like that. I've seen a change in the direct messages and stuff that I'm getting in my own inbox, and the people that are saying, this is something, talking about Before the Noise, and including this show too, a change of direction and things that they needed in their own life, and what a blessing it is to them. And it came over me. I was reading messages to Tony this morning, and she's like, wow, that's such a difference, the messaging that's coming across, and it's all in the positive, it's all in the good, Chad. So you're doing some good out there, not only out there, but in my own household. So I just want to encourage you, to let you know you are headed on the right path of doing things, and it's going to be a blessing to you and to all of us.
And Chad, something I reminded you of the other day was, I am starting to see the Lord's favor really pour down on Chad. I've seen Chad struggle with all different. I mean, he just lost another loved one, but I see how he treats. He's like, all glory to the Lord. He's always pointing to the Lord. And I tell Chad, we also have to be careful when things are going good in our life, because that's where I feel like we're most vulnerable, because we kind of relax, we let our guard down, and that's when we're maybe more tempted to sin. When you're feeling good about everything going on in peace, you kind of kick back a little bit, but then that's where we mess up again. So I encourage Chad, hey man, the God is blessing you right now, and I'm encouraging myself every day, and I encourage all of you out there, if God is blessing you and you're in that season of blessing, do not let your guard down. Right, Chad?
Yeah. And let me know if I'm freezing up. You guys froze up
on
me there for a second.
You're good.
I say this, if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. I just believe in taking people with me these days and doing more about it. The thing about the enemy can press you, but he can't possess you, right? And so you got to realize that this pressing that's happening is sort of God's way of allowing that to happen, because toothpaste, and you don't know what's inside you until you squeeze it. And you got to see what comes out. Now, what's going to come out of you is what's in there, right? So you got to be careful with what you're allowing in yourself, because when winter comes, it could expose some really bad things, could expose some really great things. And so, that it's easy to talk about peace and perseverance and all that stuff when things are going easy, but when things really suck, it's a different deal. But
Absolutely.
Ultimately, if I'm going to have peace under pressure, that means I'm going to have to praise under pressure. I'm going to have to trust under pressure. I'm going to have to wait under pressure. I'm going to have to listen under pressure. And that's where real maturity starts to show up, because it's not in how loud you scream and shout and yell at things. And that's one of the things I had to teach myself. Glenn Beck told me a long time ago, he was like, man, you got to make them cry. You got to really dig into their emotions. You really got to twist them and shake them.
He does a good job at that. Stuff. Yeah.
And I would just be like at everybody, which I get pretty fired up, and I enjoy that. It's entertaining. But at the end of the day, I wanted to get to a place when it wasn't just about the shouting. It was about, I wanted to bring something to the table. So what you said earlier reminded me of Rudyard Kipling's great poem, If, where he says, when you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, because the wins are imposters too. They'll both fool you into thinking. It's just like man's acceptance is just as fake as man's rejection. If man's acceptance can make you, then man's rejection can destroy you. Oof. You can't let either one of those things be a balance. So, and that's something I was hunting in Wisconsin, and I was telling my friend, Chase Fornango, I was telling him, we were out there on the side-by-side, and we were talking about this. And I said, it's real easy to get caught up in the negativity that's out there. But I love what Kipling said. He said, when you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, that's a powerful way to live, man, because you become untouchable. Rejection and acceptance. One doesn't make you, one doesn't destroy you. And so I think that's kind of where we're at.
Oh, gosh, that's so good.
At this day and age, we're just getting bombarded.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, and I'll hush for a second. I heard a missionary, and you probably heard me tell this story. I heard a missionary years ago who came back from India, and they were like, were you scared of the tigers or the big snakes? And he goes, I wasn't worried about any of that. It was the mosquitoes and the flies. He goes, those, the gnats and the mosquitoes and the flies, those were the biggest annoyance. Those are the things you really had to be careful. And I was like, man, it's those little things that come your way. It's those constant darts, like Paul says in Ephesians 6. Those are the things that destroy people. That little bit, and it just nitpicks you half to death.
Mm.
And after a while, you've been waiting on this big boulder to crush you. And it's just, it's just been this constant little harassing that's gone on. And that's where a lot of people are losing it right now.
Steve?
Yeah, nope. I was gonna go back to something else. Chad talked about us slowing down on the road and all that kind of stuff. It's been really great for me because I've been able to spend more time in the woods and down in the country this year than I have in the last 10 years, probably all combined. So and that's just in the last month or so. So that's it's been insanely needed for my own mental health and well-being.
Chad, what was that saying you just said? It was so good. I want to actually like write it down on my fridge. You said acceptance and rejection.
Yeah, if the rejection of man, or if the acceptance of man can make you, then the rejection of man can destroy you.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but that hit me like a ton of bricks just now, because that's something that I've been hurt, and I know a lot of you have out there. You guys have been hurt by people closest to you, the people that were supposed to have your back, people that were supposed to love on you the most. And that's what kind of has been happening to me throughout my life, is like the people that I trusted the most. There's stuff that happened to me as a kid and stuff, and it messed me up, man. And it got me in this mindset, Chad, that I have to be accepted by people. And what you just said just totally sunk in, because I lived a life at one time where when I got accepted by people, I was good. When I got rejected by people, it absolutely destroyed me. It kept me idle. It kept me on my couch. The day that I asked the Lord to help me with that and have him be my only source of motivation and acceptance was the day I started flourishing, man. Because I used to worry about, why am I not being invited to this thing? Why did my friends not invite me to this? Why did my family not invite me to this? Why? That rejected feeling, it can have a lot of power over you, man. I had so much good things going on in my life, and the times that I got rejected, it would absolutely be the focal point in my brain, and it would just drown me, dude. It was like step on my neck. I couldn't do anything because of that feeling of rejection. And as soon as I started getting released from that, like, like that let them theory that lady talks about, let them. If they're not going to invite you, let them. If they're going to talk bad about you, let them. I mean, it really is releasing all of that to the Lord and just doing what the Lord has you to do in your life. Gosh, it's so freeing, dude. And that's why it hit me so hard.
There's a book out there. I'm trying to find it. It's a book by John Bevere, and it's old. That thing's been out 15 years.
Yeah.
But it's called The Bait of Satan. Yeah, it's called The Bait of Satan, because it's talking about when you embrace feelings of offense and how you can use things like taking offense or rejection of people or holding grudges or, fractured things in your life. When you hold on to that resentment, how it really is, it's the bait of Satan. It really it tastes good. It feels good in that moment to just, scratch that. Yeah, there you go. And that's a fantastic book. That's a fantastic book. I read that about 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more, maybe 20 years ago, honestly. I need to read it again. But that's where that concept of the acceptance of man and the rejection of man, I think that's where that came from, is reading that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of enticements out there, man. And we get ensnared by it. I know I have.
Yeah.
I know I have. That's one of the things why I'm really, really, man, focused on men in these days, is because men are really in a battle, dude. And I'm not trying to make us, I'm not talking about the wussification. I'm just talking about men need each other, dude. And we really need to sharpen some irons. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great segue into we need strong men. We need people to stand up. I want to get into just a couple stories real quick, because I think it's important real quick just to kind of get a comment on Chad, or from you, Chad, on what's going on. ICE actually just created, Democrats just created a master ICE tracker on an official government website to track the movements of activities of agents. Can you believe this? Let's watch this clip real quick.
I shared this with the mayor.
Oh, hold on one sec. Let me fix my
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Next
this is
thing
crazy.
we're gonna
Okay, let's watch it.
Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
Wow. What do you think, Chad?
Well, that's L.A., right? Yeah, that's Los
Yep,
Angeles because
yep.
I see the mayor
Yes,
there.
Mayor Bass. Yep.
Again, I go back to the whole villainizing, dehumanizing, labeling. This is what they're doing. This is going to get deadly. It's already dangerous, but it's going to get deadly before it gets any better.
Yeah.
And this is tragic because, again, they've made these people out to be some kind of fascist Gestapo, and these people are just doing their job enforcing the law and making the laws that are on the books work. So, again, these people are trash, man. They're just garbage, and the fact that they're going to do that, they're going to get somebody really, really hurt. So we need to be praying for our law enforcement agents that are out there because this is a powder keg.
Absolutely. I mean, we showed on the show the other day about how the DHS and Portland police were getting into it. We shared a video from last night of Portland police kind of reasoning with these far left militants in Portland. Let me show you guys that real quick, that clip real quick. Check this out. So we posted this last night. It's getting tense in Portland. So Antifa demonstrators are seen facing off with Portland police in front of the ICE building. And then in some instances, you see Portland PD seemingly reasoning with Antifa. At one point, an officer explains he wasn't responsible for sweeping Antifa's encampment, kind of like, I didn't do that. Why are you mad at me? It's a concerning video because it just shows you like who's in charge here. And this video is taken by my media guy, Brandon Geyer. Go follow him, Geyer Digital on X if you aren't yet. But look at this, Chad. I want to hear your thoughts on this. This is kind of disgusting, man. And you know what? I support the Portland police. There's a lot of good Portland police patriots that follow me that don't agree with this stuff. But the leadership is it's Bob Day. He needs to resign. We need to get someone in there that's actually going to have courage and stand up to the political leadership in Portland. But watch this.
If I would have just gone past, I wouldn't have said anything. But when my attention gets called some, then I'll say, hey, here's what else we can do.
Trauma's a motherfucker, man.
You're such a victim.
It's because our shit keeps getting swept. Our medical gear keeps getting swept. Illegally.
By me? By who? Was I out here all day or no?
Well, then don't act like you know what you're talking about.
That's why I just asked who did it. I don't know.
Talking about sweeping the Antifa encampment that was swept up yesterday. He was like, I didn't know. That wasn't me.
What are we waiting on? Do you not hear me on the megaphone? What are we waiting on? But then if I jump him, I'm in the wrong, right? If you don't do your job and I jump him, I'm in the wrong. You fucking asshole! Tell the people to be quiet. Fuck you! You can't surpass anybody's
Yeah.
Fuck you!
Like how is this not menacing or like harassment? Like if this is done, let me just tell you something. If this is done in any of the suburbs, like Tualatin, Oregon, like 10 minutes outside of Portland, or Sherwood, Oregon, or Wilsonville, and someone did this to a cop like this, I mean, they'd be arrested on the spot. Is this concerning to you, Chad?
Yeah, I mean they should be arrested by that, but then you've got these law enforcement officers who are basically apologizing to them,
Right?
And so
Yeah, dude.
I'm trying to get behind the psychology of why they're screaming the way they're screaming at this deal. Like, what is it that's making these people so impassioned? What sense of injustice do they have that's making them this violently angry?
Do they get bonus pay for screaming, using profanity?
I mean, it's again. I go back to that. That's a great point, Steve. Is these dudes are so hyped up? Like, come at me. This is the thing I appreciate about you, David. While we're continuing our little circle jerk, is I love the fact that you bring people back to a place of conversation.
Yeah.
And you disarm them. In a way, like you have something that I don't really have, is when these people get into this assertion of control or dominance, and so basically it's basically a primitive display of power, right? It's like monkeys trying to figure out which one's the leader of the pack, and they want to see who can out scream, and so they're trying to bow up and you signal their strength and control and authority. I like how you disarm them. I'm okay having a conversation with anybody, but it's like when you're just screaming. We're not getting anywhere. Can we just like it's fascinating to me. Like I was watching Ali Stuckey and Patrick Bet-David and all those different guys who are going in that circle debate deal where like 20 people gang up on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, isn't it weird that the left takes 20 people to gang up in a debate on one voice on the conservative side? Like that in and of itself is very telling to me. Like this person loses in the debate, so now they got to do a tag team, and the next person comes in. And they're just getting decimated by one person with ideas and ideals and critical thinking skills, and the rest of them can't do it. So when I see all this shouting and this screaming, I don't understand, first of all, like if I was one of those cops, I'd go to prison because I'd knock their teeth out.
Yeah.
But you know, these people have got some serious trauma in their life, and that prolonged stress.
Yep.
Their heads are gonna pop off.
Yeah. Well, this is how they're taught in universities. You know, I went to college not too long ago, and this is what they're taught is you know, rebellion and revolution is uncomfortable. I mean, they're teaching kind of what we teach our people, which is like, you know, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And a lot of our kids today are afraid to speak up because that's not how they're wired or taught. Now, my daughter's not like that because I taught her to speak up when something's wrong, right? And a lot of other parents have. I'm sure you guys have taught your kids that. But these kids that are like these Antifa and these far left just radicals they yell because they're taught to in the textbooks. Textbooks, you know, they look at examples from revolutionaries in history that have, you know, made a scene. You know, what do they call, like, silence is violence? You know, and they kind of teach the opposite of that. And so you're just seeing a bunch of rhetoric. You're seeing people. I mean, they're already prepping us for 2028, Chad, with JD Vance, because they see JD Vance as the front runner. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have one pinhead for you, because I want to get your reaction on this, Chad, on what Jen Psaki, former White House press secretary, just said. Jen Psaki she was talking about JD Vance and how he's worse than Donald Trump, and they're already starting that narrative.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, JD Vance, wants to be president more than anything else.
Yeah.
I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like,
Agreed.
Are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
He's smarter.
In some ways. And he's young.
Yeah. And ambitious.
And agile in the sense that he is a chameleon who makes himself into whatever he thinks the audience wants to hear from him. Now, what's also true, though, is JD Vance he's in some ways goodish on paper if you like what he believes in. I don't know. But I don't know that he can take the whole movement with him.
No way.
I don't think so either.
There's no riz.
It's got no riz, right?
None.
And he just is a little odd. And
Totally.
so Trump's odd in a different way. So I'm skeptical of that. So yeah, he's got to. I mean, everything going on right now, and I think we have to be very clear-eyed.
I just can't do it with Peppermint Patty here, but let me just tell you something. Back in like 20 years ago, people were worried about dictators. They were worried about the Y2K. They were worried about all these kind of things. I don't think anybody took into account white liberal women with podcast mics. That is literally going to be the downfall of America. Who watches that? You know, Chad, your thoughts on that, and Steve, your thoughts on that, and then I think, Chad, you should close it out with your final word over the the adversity stuff, and then you just close out the show. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah,
right.
if I don't freeze up. You know, what did I say to the audience back whenever Ron DeSantis was getting into the primary race? I said they're going to start saying he's like Trump, but he's worse. And I said they're going to add those 2 words, he's worse. And that's exactly what they did. So that's always their MO. That's their go-to-market strategy, is they've got to say he's worse.
Yep.
So like overall, she kept saying, well, he's goodish on paper. I love that she called him a Manchurian candidate. You know, usually when somebody says that, it's because you can't explain him. The dude's pretty smart. I mean, he can hold his own. I mean, every time he's in front of a microphone, I don't think anybody stumped him yet. So, but to come out and say, "Usha, blink twice if you're under duress, we'll come bring you over." She seems to be a pretty happy woman. The kids seem pretty well adjusted. I mean, the guy seems to be doing a pretty good job. So they say all this stuff, and again, they're trying to say, but he's worse. So again, they have to demonize this guy, and that's an unfortunate world we live in. But I like the fact that a guy like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, whoever they choose to go after, they can handle it. They're smart enough; they can handle it. And so, let's keep on going with it. You'll see.
Love it, Steve. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think Pasaki or Saki, whatever her name is, I think her even making light of the blink 4 times if you need help. She's making light of domestic abuse right there on her podcast. That's nothing to joke about, and especially in the platform and forum that they're on, and for her being a former White House press secretary. I think J.D. Vance will do fine, though. I think that wherever Trump sends the MAGA movement, they will go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, go follow Party Foul Steve at Party Foul Steve on Venmo, Instagram. Great guy. I know how important you are to Chad, man. I just appreciate you, Party Foul. I know things always, you have technical difficulties spilling out your ear, but you make it work, man. We appreciate you. So yeah, there you go. Party Foul Steve. Go follow him, you guys. Chad, I think I want to hear your final word on stuff. So I'm going to jump off here and have you take over for this whole thing. If you don't freeze up, you're still there. All right. Bye everyone. I love you. At Dave Medina PDX, follow me, and we'll close you out with Chad.
All right. That wasn't expected. So I just, David, you guys have done awesome filling in this week. Bear with us through the rest of the week. We should have internet here in the cabin in the woods by the end of the week. So anyway, if I freeze up, I apologize, but there's nothing I can do about it. But I guess what my final word would be is that we are living in an age of outrage. And you turn on the news, you get on your phone, you go in a coffee shop. I was just in the barber shop. Everybody's mad about something, whether it's the politics, the post, the pronouns, prices, whatever. All of that. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's become a professional reactor. So we see these protests that are happening out in the street. Everybody's quick to speak. They're slow to think, and somehow they're proud of how loud they can shout. And that bugs me. And here's the issue. The outrage is seductive, because it gives the illusion of having a purpose. It makes people feel powerful when they're actually powerless. That's why these people are screaming in the streets of Portland. And that's also why it spreads so easy, because it feels good for the moment. It's like slamming a door feels good when you don't have the words for your pain. So you have this emotional fast food of our generation where it's convenient, it's cheap, and it's empty. And that's the rhetoric that we see in the streets. So people are screaming at each other, screaming at law enforcement, screaming at the screens. They're yelling out to cancel what they can't control. They want to argue to be right, not to be understood. And when the noise dies, they're still angry. And they're also still empty, because the outrage never fixes what's broken. It's only going to amplify the sound of the unrest. Is a symptom. It's not the cause. And underneath it, you're going to find fear. It's always fear. That guy yelling Emmer, effer, and all that kind of stuff, that's fear. It's either fear or grief, or it's that ache of just not being seen or heard. And it's what psychologists call displaced emotion. So when you can't face the thing that's really hurting you, you're going to pick a target that feels even safer, and you yell about the traffic instead of admitting you're lonely, or you rage at politicians because it's easier than confessing how helpless and worthless you feel watching the world slip away, or how you've never accomplished anything in mom's basement, and so now you got to go get pissed off at ICE agents. And so it's not just emotional, it's actually a spiritual thing. The Bible says the anger of a man does not produce the righteousness of God, but we keep trying, don't we? Because we think that we can fight the darkness with our fury, and our sin with shouting, and our division with louder division, but we can't. So what we do with the outrage is we got to start by naming that if it's going on in your life, and admit what's underneath the outrage. I mean, I wish I could talk to these protesters and say, why are you angry? David did a great job the other day with that guy who said he'd been hurt in church. And David got to the bottom of that with this guy. Am I angry because I care or because I'm scared? Am I yelling to be heard or to drown out the voices of others that have conviction? And I will say this to get spiritual on you just for the last second. The cross is the ultimate contradiction to outrage. The cross of Jesus is the ultimate contradiction to outrage, because everybody in the crowd was screaming, crucify him. And Jesus, he was silent. In the face of his accusers, he was silent. And it wasn't because he was weak. It was because he was strong enough to bear the weight of their misplaced fury without returning it. He absorbed the outrage of humanity and was able to turn that ultimately into mercy. And that's the model. Not silence out of fear, but peace out of the power. It's a strength that doesn't need to scream in order to be felt. So maybe I think for all of us, as we learn not to shout louder, but to stand still longer and to be slower to anger, quicker to listen, grounded in the truth, and to refuse to let the outrage of the world define the condition of our hearts, because that's what's happening. And the world doesn't need more angry men. It needs healed ones. You hear me? Men who can sit in the storm and still speak peace. Men who know that outrage is just pain with a megaphone, and that love doesn't need to shout. Anyway, that's where my heart is. I hope we can get to that. Blow up banana goes up. I'm going to get out of here and pray for internet. I love y'all. Talk to you later. God bless you. Get the book and come see me in Dallas, the Dallas Comedy Club, Monday and Friday night. We'll see you there. Love you.